I've been in a bit of like a weird place in my spiritual journey, and I don't really even know where to begin or how to talk about a lot of this because I don't know, I've been hesitant to talk about it because I'm just like, I feel like I'm just in kind of like a dark place and I'm afraid to talk about these things because I don't want to like put out that like dark energy or maybe possibly like negative energy or whatever it is. But I'm like also kind of like, well, if this is a part of my journey and I'm sharing my journey, then this is kind of what it is. So, um, I've had some like personal stuff going on, like family related stuff that's been kind of like pulling me into like a darker space. But I also feel like the stuff going on in the world has also been affecting me. Um, because I feel like, I don't know, I'm just someone that, like, I think I just like pick up on the energies going on, like, whether it's like, yeah, I'm just like the type of person that I guess like picks up on those energies, whether it's, on a local level or on like, a world level or whatever. And then if I'm being completely honest too, like, I was sort of trying to like avoid watching a lot of the media, especially the past year or so, because I just didn't want to get caught up in the fear. But it got to a point where it was like, it just kind of showed up. Like, it just kind of like started to show up in my face to where it was like, okay, I can't like ignore this anymore. And um, I need to like actually look at these things and like educate myself on what's going on and be in the know. And so I think like that with like a combination of what's been going on with my family has sort of just pulled me into this darker place where I'm like, what is like actually going on here? And like, where I'm trying to like understand it on this spiritual level, and I'm finding it like really difficult to find the answers to that. And I hear a lot of people sort of talking about these things in the spiritual community, and I feel like the things that they're saying just don't really click or resonate with me, or I feel like, but is that really true? And like, if that is true, then I don't know how to like reconcile with those types of things, right? Like, for example, I hear a lot of people in the spiritual community say like, you chose to be here. And I honestly get really triggered when I hear that because I'm like, if I chose to be here or like I chose whatever, like, because I know another thing I hear is like, oh, if these certain things happen to you, that's in like your soul contract. And so it's like, I feel like a lot of this stuff alludes to like us as souls, I guess, like choosing our experiences and things down here, but I think it's really hard to reconcile with that when you've been through trauma, like really bad trauma. But honestly, even like, not even just that, but also just like looking at the things going on in the world where you're like, how do I make sense of that? And so it's something I've been trying to like make sense of. But I think something else I'm realizing is that, you know, I have to choose like what I believe in because for, I don't know, a little while now, I've been kind of like trying to break down my subconscious limiting beliefs for like honestly pretty recently. And in doing that, I realized that like a lot of that stuff was kind of a part of, what I believe I think people call like the matrix, right? Like kind of like all these like societal beliefs, and then even like the family you grew up in, like those beliefs get put on you and whatnot. And like I've been breaking a lot of that down, and now I'm kind of even seeing it within like the spiritual community, where I'm like, well, everybody kind of has their own matrix that they're within, right? It's their own belief systems that make up everything that they believe or think about the world. And so I think what it's making me realize is like, well, what do I believe and what do I think? And I think it's hard because, when I feel like I've watched like a lot of I feel like I've watched a lot of spiritual content, on my journey, because, I think it can feel really, you can feel really lost and confused. And so, I know for me, like I sometimes I'm like looking for the answers, and so I watch a lot of other people's content, and I think I'm getting to the point where I'm like, well, I have to decide like what is for me and what isn't for me, and like what I believe and what I don't believe. And so that's been kind of like a mind, I want to say another word, but I don't know, I'm thinking mind swirl. It's been a mind swirl. Where my mind is just like swirling and trying to like figure and make sense out of all of these things. I think it can be really easy to like, especially when you listen to the same people over and over again, or like you hear the same things within the spiritual community being said, or whatever, in spiritual content. Like when you hear the same things in spiritual content being said over and over again, it kind of just like, you kind of just believe. Like for me, I'm like, I just like believed it and didn't really like, think much about it. But now I'm starting to like really question all of it and try to figure out, well, what do I believe then, or like how do I make sense of these things. So yeah, I've been having like a really hard time trying to reconcile, like, yeah, why do all of these things happen? Like all of these traumatic and awful things happen in the world. Um, and it's been difficult to try to make sense of it. One thing I will say is that when I actually tuned in to this whole thing of people kind of saying, like, talking about soul contracts and like us choosing whatever, when I tuned into it and I tried to sort of feel into like, is that true or not? I guess what I got back was kind of like, it's a lot more complicated than that. It's a lot more complicated than like, oh, we chose to be here, and like we're just here for the ride kind of a thing. Because I hear people talk about it in that way, and I'm like, what? Like, especially with just, I don't know. Again, I'm in a dark place, and I feel like for me, like I've been through a lot of dark things, and I know a lot of other people have too, and even like people close to me, or I know people in the world, or people who are going through really dark things right now. And so it's like, in the world, there's dark things going on in the world right now. So it's just like, when I hear that, I'm like, what? Like, are you even talking about? It's really hard. And it, yeah. It's causing me to question, honestly, like, okay, is that person actually able to see things from a higher perspective that I'm not able to see because I'm just not there yet? Or are they just, or because, I don't know, I am sort of tuning into some of these darker things, or have experienced darker things, am I able to see it from that perspective? And am I able to see that aspect of our human experience, or maybe I'm more in tune with that aspect of our human experience to where I'm like, some of those things just like don't really make sense to me. I don't know. Or like, yeah, I don't know. Or some, like, do some people choose to ignore those parts of the human experience? Because this is kind of also another thing that I see in spiritual content people talking about, where it's like, um people saying things like, oh, choose to see the positive in your experience, or like, um I don't know, just always trying to like see, like, always trying to see things from this like higher perspective. But I feel really confused about that sometimes. Again, when it comes to like the really, really dark things that happen in the world, I'm like, I don't know how to see those things from a higher perspective, if I'm being completely honest. And I don't know. Like, and I wonder if there really even is a higher perspective, or if it's just, it is what it is, you know? And I'm starting to feel like that's kind of like the answer that I have right now for myself, is like that these things happen. And I don't know, like, I don't even know what else to say. I don't know, maybe this is just where I'm at in my journey, but like, I just find a lot of those answers, I don't know, not just not enough for me, I guess. Not right now, at least. Like, I just think about, like, if my soul chose this, then, like, I don't know, like, I do not like my soul. I'm gonna be honest, like, I'm not sure, like, I don't know. I'm like, if that's true in the way that people say it, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. And yeah, I don't know. It's funny. Like, I think about, it's funny because I don't know if anyone has ever watched Severance. I love that show. I'm a big movie show fan. Whatever. I love movies and shows. And but anyway, yeah. I don't know if anyone has seen Severance, but I just think about, if you have, like, you're probably gonna only understand this if you have. I just think about like Helly R from Severance, and like when she, wakes up and is just like, WTF, like, I honestly, when I was thinking about, like, when I watched that show for the first time, I was like, that's literally like how I feel here sometimes. I'm not gonna lie, especially right now. So, yeah, I don't know. I think ultimately, when I think about it, I think a lot of these things, like these answers, are that people sort of come to about, like, why we're here and whatnot, or, that we chose to be here and all that stuff. Um, yeah, because like another question I've had is like, why are we here? I mean, I know there's like a whole bunch of theories and people have their own stuff, you know, things about that. But yeah, I think, to be completely honest, like, I think what kind of frustrates me sometimes is that people kind of talk like they have the answers, or they know, but I feel like we don't really know. Like, nobody really knows. I know that, there's a lot of, um, theories and stuff like that. And I have my own based on certain things. But yeah, I don't know. I just kind of wanted to throw these like questions out there anyway. Like, this is what I'm like rolling through and thinking about, and what's swirling in my mind. So I'm just honestly just letting this swirls roll out, whatever that means. Um, but it was funny because I was kind of at a coffee shop the other day and I was writing down all these questions like, what am I doing here? Like, why am I here? Blah, blah, blah. And I was listening to music too when I was doing that. And it's so funny because the song, The Less I Know, the Better by Tame Impala came on. And I know that, like, spirit or, whatever, my higher self or whatever. I feel like I get a lot of signs. I know that I get a lot of signs through music a lot of the times. And so I thought that was really funny because I was like, oh, okay. Um, so yeah, I guess what I was going to say was like, I think a lot of these things that we hear are sometimes our human brains trying to make sense of what we probably can't make sense of while we're still down here. Um, so I think that's what I'm kind of coming to the conclusion of, is that there's some things that, like, I think I just have to be okay with not having all of the answers to, or just not really knowing, which makes me feel really uncomfortable as I'm saying that right now. But yeah, I think it's maybe good to, I don't know, maybe that's my body telling me like, no, we need to like think something. So I don't know, maybe I do need to like decide what I think and what I feel to my best knowledge, or what helps me, I guess, get through this crazy human experience. I think in a lot of ways. Um, yeah, but I think ultimately it's just a lot of us trying to make sense of all of this. And yeah, so I think it's just a balance of being okay with not knowing certain things and then also deciding what I choose to believe about this experience and me being here. And also, I think allowing some of the answers to unravel on their own, like as I go about life and learn more about myself and the world and this whole thing. So, um, yeah, I mean, that was pretty much like my ramble. I think that was all I wanted to talk about. Um, Sorry if this was kind of dark. I don't know. Sorry, not sorry. I don't know. I don't even know how to feel about this. This is so like unhinged of me, to be honest. But I guess, yeah, ultimately, I just wanted to put all of this out there, to just call these things into question and to just call it what it is, and um, to, yeah, I mean, just put my thoughts out there, and maybe there's other people, that are kind of going through the same thing or thinking the same things. I don't know. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for listening to me ramble about my spiraling thoughts. I hope this was helpful in some sort of a way, um, or maybe helped expand your mind or think about things from a different perspective, or whatever it is. Yeah, I hope this was helpful, and thanks for watching.